Have you ever wondered about the legality of audit notices issued by the Commissioner Inland Revenue under the Sales Tax Act or the Federal Excise Act? Today, we delve into a case that did just that. The crux of the matter revolved around a legal challenge to the audit notices issued under Section 25 of the Sales Tax Act, 1990, and/or under Section 46 of the Federal Excise Act, 2005. The heart of the issue was the lawfulness of these notices, particularly in their selection of the plaintiffs for audit. Were the notices issued in accordance with the law? Did they fulfill the requirement to disclose the reasons for such selection? These were the questions that dominated the legal discourse of this case. This case provides clarity on the requirements for selecting taxpayers for audit and emphasizes the importance of transparency and procedural fairness in the audit selection process. Let's delve into the case's timeline, from the issuance of the audit notices to the final verdict. Our journey begins with the Commissioner Inland Revenue issuing audit notices to the plaintiffs under Section 25 of the Sales Tax Act, 1990, and/or under Section 46 of the Federal Excise Act, 2005. These notices were not just ordinary tax documents. They were a selection for audit, a call for the plaintiffs to submit their records for scrutiny. However, the plaintiffs didn't take this lying down. They mounted a legal challenge to the lawfulness of these audit notices. The crux of the matter? The notices didn't explain why the plaintiffs were chosen for audit. The plaintiffs argued that the requirement to disclose reasons is critical, and the absence of such information rendered the notices unlawful. The case meandered its way through the legal system, with the plaintiffs and the Commissioner Inland Revenue presenting their arguments. The plaintiffs contended that the notices constituted an unlawful selection for audit due to the lack of disclosed reasons. On the other hand, the Commissioner Inland Revenue argued that calling for the record of the taxpayer and simultaneously selecting them for audit was not contrary to the scheme of Section 25 of the Sales Tax Act, 1990, and Sections 45 and 46 of the Federal Excise Act, 2005. Eventually, the court reached a decision. The verdict? The court agreed with the plaintiffs. It declared the impugned audit notices as unlawful for failing to disclose reasons. This meant that the notices had no legal effect. With the final verdict, the court declared the impugned notices unlawful, rendering them of no legal effect. This case's significance lies in its clarity on the requirements for selecting taxpayers for audit under the Sales Tax Act, 1990, and the Federal Excise Act, 2005, emphasizing the importance of transparency and procedural fairness in the audit selection process. Now, let's dissect the key points of the case and the court's decision. The crux of the case revolved around the lawfulness of audit notices issued by the Commissioner Inland Revenue to the plaintiffs. These notices were issued under Section 25 of the Sales Tax Act, 1990, and/or under Section 46 of the Federal Excise Act, 2005. The bone of contention was whether the selection of the plaintiffs for audit was lawful, particularly concerning the requirement to disclose reasons for such selection. The plaintiffs challenged the validity of these notices, questioning whether the suits were maintainable to challenge the impugned audit notices. They argued that this was contrary to the scheme of Section 25 of the Sales Tax Act, 1990, and Sections 45 and 46 of the Federal Excise Act, 2005. The court's decision was a game-changer. It ruled that the impugned notices did indeed constitute a selection for audit and not simply a call to submit records. However, the court found that these notices were unlawful for failing to disclose reasons for the selection. In other words, the court stated that while it is not contrary to the scheme of Section 25 of the Sales Tax Act, 1990, and Sections 45 and 46 of the Federal Excise Act, 2005, to call for the record of the taxpayer and simultaneously select them for audit, it is imperative to disclose the reasons for such selection. The court thus declared the impugned notices as unlawful and of no legal effect. This decision underscored the importance of transparency and procedural fairness in the audit selection process. It provided much-needed clarity on the requirements for selecting taxpayers for audit under the Sales Tax Act, 1990, and the Federal Excise Act, 2005. The case concludes with a significant decision, stressing the importance of disclosing reasons for selecting taxpayers for audit, providing a landmark ruling for future cases.